Okay, class, welcome to Dftg 1376, and today we are going to be matriculating into lesson number 3. Okay, let's toggle to the book so we can actually go over how I want you guys to actually conduct your activities for this chapter. So, this is lesson 3, okay, and we're going to look at line work and modify tools, right? However, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to actually go in and read chapter 3. Okay, reason being, they're actually creating another model file here. We don't want to do that. Okay, we want you guys to read exercise 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and 3.4. And what's going to happen is we'll continue with the current model that we are working on, and we will incorporate all of these actions that you're going to read into the video and into our model, if that makes sense. So we're not creating another model at this point. I don't want to do that. I want to just stick with the one that we're in. Okay. So today we're actually going to be creating some additional views as well, and we're going to actually put furniture into our model. All right, and we may go ahead and put the site and add some site stuff today as well. We'll see how long it takes and what kind of time that I'll have after I do the initial things. Typically I like to keep the videos to 40 minutes to an hour is just perfect. Okay, I don't want it to be you know too long, right? So if we have to incorporate the site work and the trees in the next lesson, then we will do that. But rest assured, we'll get it in at some point. All right. So let's go ahead and go back to the model. Okay. And this is where we left off last week. Right now, your model should look like this. Minus the windows, you may have some different windows in your model. And I'm sure all of you do, right? But as long as you have windows and they're placed in the areas and the locations where the floor plan showed that they are to be placed, that's the only thing I'm going to be grading you on. Okay. So today we're going to start with some annotations, right? We're going to go ahead and create some rooms in the model. All right, we're going to go ahead and add rooms in the model. Okay, and we may go ahead and annotate some elevations. So if you look at the front elevation, that's what this looks like. Okay, we may go ahead and label some of these guys up. All right, but we'll see. First things first, I want to go ahead and get the model complete, get some annotations done in the model, set up some section cuts and some interior views, place some furniture and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and start with that. And if we actually get to the site work and we actually get to annotating the elevations, that will be just perfect for today's course. So again, this is where your model should be. Okay, you should have this small little building. Okay, and I think it's good for what we're doing at this point. Didn't want to make it too big for those of you who actually started their class late and didn't get a chance to sit in on the first lecture. Okay, but yeah, we're going to be actually jumping into a much bigger model within the next week or so. But I wanted to give you guys the basics with something small in square foot so we can actually focus on the actual functions and the Rivet interface itself. The next model is going to be bigger. We'll get into some more complex things. I'll say it right in a moment. But yeah, let's go ahead and annotate the floor plan. So first thing you want to do is you want to go here, okay, and we're gonna name each room. Okay, so we're gonna tag the room here, or better yet, go to annotate tab. My computer's working slow. Okay, or I'll go back to architecture tab, and we can create an area plan, or we can just click on room. Okay. So this will tell us what rooms is, and what happens is you'll get a tag like this. So first thing you want to do is, you see where the X is? That tells us the boundaries of this room, because you can use this to actually get the square footage, right? So the boundaries of this room will be here. So we'll click here, okay? And we'll actually do one here. And we'll do one in here. And we'll add another room here, okay? Now, once you have these rooms added in, you can go in and rename them. Okay, so this room is, and let's go back to the annotate tab and click on the align dimension, and let's drop some interior dimensions into this room. Again, people like to do this differently. Some people like to add interior dimensions from the front face of wall, from front to the front face of wall. But for right now, we're just going to keep it simple, right? Let's just stick from on the in. Let's just stick with the interior side of the wall to the interior side of the wall. All right, and I'm doing this for a specific reason. And again, there's more than one way to do this in Rivet. Uh, but this is how I want you to do it, and you'll take these dimensions out. Okay. All right, now, so what you'll go do here is you guys will have a different tag than I'll have, okay? Your tag will probably look something like this, just a regular tag. So I'll change mine like that, and we'll actually do something to help accommodate that. But because I want to go ahead and put the room size in under the room name. So let's go ahead and name this bathroom. So double click here. When you double click it, it activates it so you can actually rename it. So you bathroom, and then click out of it and it changes. Okay. Now that may be a bit big. Okay. So let's double click it and just type in bath and put a period behind the H. That way it's not taking up the whole room. And again, these tags you can change, you guys have different tags, but you can also change the tag size if you just click on the properties menu. Right now it's set on, room tag. We had brochure tags and things of that nature. Okay, we had tags you can actually go and click here, and then you can type in the ceiling height. But you guys don't have this file, okay? So you definitely won't have this type of tag. This is a specific configuration as per this template that I'm in, right? So I just wanted to show you guys that there's a difference there, and you can actually change that by clicking room tag and scrolling up and down on the properties menu. Okay, you're not going to have as many as what I show here, but you should have a couple of options to change it. And I'm not going to grade you on the size of the text right now, even though we will get into that in the next model. There's standard text sizes as per the scale of the drawing on the sheet. Rivet typically takes care of that for you, but you need to make sure that you are selecting the right one. Okay, so in the next model, we will get more in depth. So I just wanted to get you guys, flowing with tags. So this is bathroom. And what we want to do is we want to actually go ahead, and I'm doing it this way because you guys don't have all the tags that I have. But you want to go ahead and type in the square footage of the room underneath the bath title, okay? Excuse me, hold on. So the way you do that is you would go here and you see this text button. You'll see a letter, a big A, okay, for Apple. You're going to click that. And then over here, you're going to see your text that comes active. Now, again, this is a customized drawing template. You will not have all of these different text types. I would say just to select the text, the smallest size that you can get, and place it under the room. So you would do something like that. You would click whatever there. Now, when you're adding text, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 ways you can add it. You can add just regular text. So if I wanted to come here and, if I wanted to type in 6 feet dash 6 inches by 10 feet dash 10 inches, 10 feet. And then I can click off, and then you can take this and escape out of the text command and just move this right under there, okay? But let's just say I wanted to, point something out. So you have these different options here, right? So you can click here and it'll add an arrow to it. And this arrow, if you wanted to point something out, like say if you was calling something out like, and we'll get more in depth on this if we get to the elevations today, but say if you was calling something out like brick facade or 5x5 window, then you can actually turn the arrows on, okay, and point to it. So let's go back. I'll show you how to start one with the arrow, okay, because I know I just dropped this one in. But say if you wanted to add some text calling out this door right here, okay. Hot command for text is TX. We're in Texas, so that should be easy to remember. And you can tell it what type of arrow you want. Do you want a leader that has 2 segments? You want a leader that has a curved segment, or do you want a straight line? We'll do all 3 examples. So let's go here, okay. And this is the one with the straight line. And you can just say wall and click off, and you just have a straight line. Or let's go here and do one that's got the segment. So you go here, boom. This is the one we're going to use the most, okay? This is the one that's most comprehensive for me, because a lot of times if you look at the first one with the straight arrow, if you can use that in some cases if you are pointing at something that's horizontal, but if it's something that's on an angle or vertical, it kind of, to me, it kind of doesn't read as well as we'd like it to. Again, you know, we're dealing with contractors, so we have to make sure that the drawings are as legible as possible. Okay, so say if we use the text leader that's got the two segments, WALL, hit enter, then click out of it. So now you have this guy that's got a leader that's pointing to the word, right? And then if you move this around, you see how it actually moves with it, okay? Or you can take this and pull it out. It just depends. You know, sometimes you have to configure these things all different types of ways because of you may have a piece of furniture right here or something like that. You know, these drawings, they get pretty congested, okay? So just wanted to show you guys how that worked. Now let's go ahead and do one with the curved arrow. And that's the curved leader right here. So you would come here, click here, and then just type in wall, all right? And that one works the same. You know, you could kind of adjust the curve, okay? The principle is the same. As instead of it being a segment, it's a curve. And instead of it being a straight line, it's a curve or a segment, okay? So that's pretty clean cut and straightforward, all right? We will get more into that when we actually work on annotating our elevations. But for right now, this is basically what I want you to do. So this is bathroom, okay? This is the living room. You can just say living. And you also can hit the enter and type in room. Well, right here. Double click. LIVING. Living room. That's a pretty big room, so we can type both names. Then I would take it and move it. Okay. And then make sure you match it to the one that you did originally. So you hit MA for match properties. Select the one you want it to be like, and then select the one you want to change. Okay. So then we'll take this guy and we'll move it down a little bit. Okay. And same deal. Again, in this industry, time is money. So what you want to do is you want to either just type in TX and go ahead and hit escape first. Just exit out of any command you may be in and type in TX and click on the A again and just make sure it's that same one, that same size. I'm not grading you guys on size, even though I do want it to be smaller than the room title. Something like what I'm showing here or something close. And then you just place that right there. And right now we'll just type XXX because we do not know, or let's say JJJ, because we don't know exactly what the room size is just yet. Okay, we can kind of discern from here, from adding these two dimensions. So right now it looks like it's gonna be 28'6" by, and typically when you're doing a room like this, you want to go with the largest opening. Okay, so from here to here, we're talking about 28'6", and then if we go from, you know, here to here, that's 25 feet. Okay, so you always want to go with the horizontal than the vertical at the end. Okay, or vice versa. Again, it just depends on who you're working for and what they prefer. But industry standard, you go with the vertical and then the horizontal. I mean the horizontal and then the vertical. Sorry. Now let's go right here. And what do we say that was? 28'6". So you're 28'6" by 25. So you double click here. 28 foot space. And you just use the regular keyboard, guys. 28'6" by 25 foot. 0 inches. And click out of it. And now you can take it and grab the arrows here to drag it around and move it right up under and the center of the room. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for, you know, room number 1 and room number 2. So let's delineate the rooms, okay, because they're both the same size. You know, typically if one is larger, and one may be slightly larger, but I don't think it's large enough for us to call it master. You know, typically you'll have a master bedroom which is the largest bedroom in the house. But here, this is just a little lake cabin, no master, just 2 rooms, okay, for lodging, right? So let's go ahead, same principle. Either you can come up here and you can click on align dimensions, or you can type in DI, okay, and click here, and then click here. That's 26. We already had that one. Okay, let's get this one. About 12.3. So again, let's match the properties of this tag. All right, so MA for match properties. Select the one you want it to be like, and then select the one you want to change. All right, next, sometimes I'll do this. I'll just copy this guy. So I'll select it and copy it, right? Boom. And just drag it over here. Wait, wrong thing, wrong copy. Sorry guys, copied the wrong thing. We want to copy the dimensions. So select it, hit CO for copy, then click on it and drag it to where you want it to be, okay? Now, once you have it copied, okay, again, I'm showing you this because there's, many ways to do things in Rivet. You can do one thing like maybe 100 different ways, seriously and literally, okay? But we know that this room is what? 20'6" by 12'3". So double click here and just change the numbers. 20'6" by 12'3". It's a lot quicker than retyping all that over, right? Yes. All right. Now, let's see. I think this room is equivalent to that room. And if it is, you can just copy the tag. Yeah. So match the room tag to get, because this guy is different, right? In my drawing. So I have to match it. You may not have to match yours, MA. So we want to keep it. We like this one and we want to change this one, okay? And let's take this tag for the dimensions and copy it down. And just place it right under the room tag, okay? Boom, there you go. So now you have labeled your floor plan, okay? It's a lake cabin, so you have 2 bedrooms and you have 2 bedrooms and you have a living room, okay? And typically, if you want to highlight something, if you right-click and drag right, you're gonna select more than what you want. Okay, so let me explain this because this is very important. Rivet it's a multifaceted program, right? It's doing more than one thing. While you actually execute one command, it's executing like 3. So you hardly ever want to click and drag, okay? Because let's just say if you wanted to delete this room, right? And you wanted to delete this dimension of the room, and you click and drag. You click and drag over the dimension and you touch the room. So when you hit delete, now you're going to delete the whole room, right? So let's not do that. When you want to delete or select something specific, you want to click and drag in the opposite direction, okay? If you go from right to left, it's going to select everything in the model in that space, okay? As you can see, we selected the tag, we selected the dimensional tag, we selected the room tag, and we actually selected the room area, okay? Now, this tells us what room number this is. It numbers it for us. Room number 45, okay? It's on the first floor, all right? So that's basically what it does. It's just because when we actually create our schedules, it's going to tell us all the requirements and all of the pertinent things that's relevant to room number 45. 45, that number keeps popping up at me. Anyway, now that we've done that, okay, let's go ahead and we're going to create some views. Last week I went over drawing some building sections. I just kind of touched on it briefly because I knew I was going to get into the details of it for, this portion of the model, right? So typically you want a transverse section and a longitudinal section, okay? So the way you do that is you come up here to your project browser, your project ribbon, go to architecture, or sometimes you can just, what I like to do is I just like to click this little section marker, okay? But if you go to view, to the view tab, you can see section markers, call outs, all of that stuff here, right? So, yeah, select the section marker right here. And let's draw a section through the front doors. Now, for those of you who are not architecturally savvy or who do not have a background in architecture, typically when you draw these section markers, you want to try to draw them through every different condition. And here's what I mean when I say that. Let's draw one right through the door, okay? It's going through the door and it's going through the brick wall, right? Now, let's take this and you can select that section marker, grab this little modify tab here and pull it out, okay? And then you don't want things to intersect. I'm a stickler for this because we're all about producing drawings that, highlight clarity. So you kind of want to try to miss overlapping things. Like you don't want to overlap dimensions and stuff like that. Again, we are dealing with contractors. They're looking for errors in your drawings or places where they can say that, they didn't have a good understanding or try to say that it was an error. Okay. So here you go. You have your section marker. Now, the reason I drew it right here is because it's two different conditions. You have the condition at the door, which will show how the door is actually built into the frame of the wall, and it'll actually show how the header actually houses the top of the wall, and it's actually going through the brick wall, which is an entirely different condition. This will show you how thick the brick is on the exterior, the wall space between the brick and the interior wall stud, and the size of the interior wall stud, okay? So when you're drawing these sections, you want to try to cut through different conditions. Like I would not cut a section right here. And I'm doing this just for teaching purposes, okay? Let's go ahead and create another one. I would not cut a section right here. Let me move it over some. I would not put one right here. You know why? Because it's going through that same brick wall. That's the condition that we're already showing over here. And then it's going through that same brick wall again. It's no need to show the same condition twice. It's the same all the way around the building envelope as it regards its exterior wall and the envelope components, okay? Now, let's delete this so I can further explain what I'm getting at here, okay? Let's delete it. Say okay. Now, we have one going through a door. We have one going through a window, okay? Now, what we want to do is, we have one going through the wall. Now, what do we have in the exterior building envelope? And that's the exterior walls. And you hear me say building envelope, I'm talking about the building walls and what it's made out of, okay? So we have 4 building walls, okay? And it's, it's standard brick veneer construction, okay? So we need to draw one that shows what that condition looks like at the windows, right? Okay. So you want to go and click the section marker here, however you feel best doing it. And you want to place one right here, something like that. Okay. And this is perfect. You know why? Even though we're showing a different wall here, there's no other condition that's different that we're not showing. So sometimes you have to show it just to make the section marker complete, okay? But actually what I would do is I wouldn't show this detail when I get to my details portion of the drawing because it's already shown once. You just show that detail once, but that's another video for another day. Let's get getting into the thick of things. So again, we want to do this and we want to show clarity. So select this and notch it up to actually miss the text, okay? And now we're showing what that condition is as we cut through the window and we're cutting through an interior wall at a door, which is excellent. We can show because the interior door, the construction thereof is totally different from the exterior door because the interior we just have wall stud. On the exterior we have wall stud and brick on the exterior side of that wall stud with 1.5 inch airspace. It just depends on the company you go work for. Some people draw it in at 1 inch. I typically am more privy to 1.5 inch, but it's different. But there is an airspace in between the interior wall stud and the exterior brick. Okay, so there are our sections. Okay, we have one going across the building and we are addressing every condition. There's no condition that has not been addressed. We're addressing this condition with the interior door. We're addressing the condition with the exterior door at the brick veneer. We're addressing the condition with the brick veneer at the interior wall, and we're addressing the condition at the exterior window, okay? So good stuff. Now, let's say we had an interior window right here. Let's just do this. I'm just doing this for clarity purposes. I know we don't show it in the model, but say we wanted to put say a window was right here, okay? Well, that's an interior window, and in turn, a different condition. So what I would do, because you have to put a section cut at every condition type, so you can show these contractors, CON, how to actually, and I'm giving contractors a hard time. Actually, they have worked with some good contractors down in Houston, and those who are good, they know who they are. Okay. Now, I would come and do something like this. I would go to the section marker and just boom, just drop a quick wall section right there. You don't have to cut through the rest of the building, okay? Because you have to show each and every last different condition, all right? If this interior door was not the same as this interior door, then I would have to put a section cut through this door because this may be a steel frame door, whereas this is a wood door. And not that it would be in a residence. I'm just trying to, for teaching purposes, get you guys to grasp our understanding of showing each condition in your model, okay? But we'll talk more about that once we get into the final model, all right? So yes, that's essentially how you add tags now and add section markers. Now, let's place some interior elevations. So you would come here, click elevation, all right? And right now it's set on building elevations. You want to set it and click interior elevation, okay? Because building elevation, let's go back to building elevation. Typically that's the elevation marker shown on the exterior of your building, and they already come set default. You just have to find out where it is, okay? And sometimes it's turned off, sometimes it's not. But there is one already because we have 4 elevations. I just wanted you guys to see how it looks, and there it is. You see all these, and there's so many. We don't need this. Sometimes things just get lost in the model, right? If you have okay, I don't know what happened. Something happened. At any rate, uh, yeah, you only want to show one. I don't know why we have all of these in the file. Probably because it's one of my drawing files, and we were probably showing a bunch of different things. And sometimes this happens, but really, all you need to do is show one. We can delete all of these. And then get out of there. But you guys won't have that. That was just in my model. Let me open all of this up. I'm gonna put them in fresh so you guys can see what they are and where they are derived from and what they're showing. Typically, I've had all of mine turned off. So, okay, guys, let's pause for a minute. Okay, so I've deleted all of the interior elevation or exterior elevation markers out. And that's a good thing because I wanted to show you guys how to put them in anyway. Okay, so they're all gone. When I turn on the hidden elements icon, they're all gone. I'll turn it back off. Now, let's go ahead and add some exterior elevations. You want to go here and click this elevation marker on the View tab, okay? And let's go ahead and do some building elevations, and then we'll throw in some interior elevations. So click on building elevation, or just click on elevation, okay? And place it. And if you're getting this warning, that means it's not visible in the floor plan. So if you ever get that warning, here's what you are to do. Type in VV. Okay, VV is for visibility. I'll say it right in a moment. Visibility settings. Or you can, let's close this out. Or you can type in VG if it helps you remember, for visibility graphics. Same deal, okay? So right now you have model categories, you have annotation categories, you have analytical model categories, you have imported categories, and you have filters. We're not using any filters. We're not importing anything into the model yet, okay? We don't have anything analytical in our drawings. That's for things like openings and structural members and things of that nature. Annotation categories, we do. Now, annotations, these are all the categories that are in the model that have to do with annotating the drawings. Like we put some of the text in, and we actually, put some room models in. And you guys remember how I was showing you guys how to use the text with arrows, and if the arrow could be two segments of the arrow, or the arrow could be curved. Well, here's where you turn all of that stuff on and off. If you are familiar with AutoCAD, it's similar to layering in AutoCAD, but it's not layering. There is a way to layer in Rivet. That's for further on in the course, okay? But there is a simplistic form of layering, okay, and it's called visibility graphics. So if you're ever trying to put stuff in the model and you get that error message like we just received right here, none of the elements created are visible in the floor plan, that means you have an issue with it being turned off in the visibility settings or the visibility graphics, okay? So we're trying to add building elevation, right? So let's go here and see where it says elevations here? It's turned off. You want to click that and turn that on. Then you want to click apply, and you want to click OK. Now it just shows the building elevation marker that I just added with the command still active. So we want to place one of these on all four sides of the building. So we have that one on the north side, on the plan north side. And this thing, when you move it around, it kind of turns where the building is, okay? So you want to place one, let's move them back some, like here. And then you want to place one here. And then you want to place one right here, okay? Now, what have we done? When you double click this, this gives you, if you double click this, okay, what you did was you created all of these elevations, right? So when you double click this right here, you now have the front elevation. So you want to go here, right click, and rename it. And you want to call it front elevation, and hit enter. All right. Now let's go back to your floor plan, and you want to click this one. All right. And you want to call this, select it, right click. This is the rear elevation, R-E-A-R. And hit enter to get out of it. Now let's go back to your floor plan. Let's close these two out first. We don't need them right now. Go back to your floor plan and click this guy on the right side. And you want to call this right side elevation. Rename. Or R period SIDEELEV period. Right side elevation. Okay. Close that out. And let's go over here and do the left side. But look at this one. I left this one like this intentionally. Sometimes when you place these guys, it doesn't point the way you want it to point. See, if you click that one, it's going to show you nothing because it's looking the opposite way of your building, right? Whichever way it's pointing, that's the way it's looking. Now, since we're here, if you double click on this, you can tell it how far you want it to look and how wide you want it to look, okay? You can move this and tell you want it to look that far. And these are also settings that can be manipulated here in the properties menu. So let's look right here. If we move this back, that's called the far clip offset, meaning how far do you want to look. So if you move it right now, it's at 30'6". So if you move it out some, now it's at 78'8". You can go back here and change it, right? Just type it in, and then it'll actually move for you, okay? Everything that you're doing in Rivet, you can modify it on the properties menu. All right, we'll get more into details as it regards modifying and things in depth once we get to the next portion or the final model. Okay, but let's get back to the problem at hand. Somebody said, well, Mr. Watson, how do you change this? Well, what you do is see there's two parts. There's the arrow and then there is the actual elevation itself. So if you double click this, or if you click on this, look at all this stuff that pops up. Okay? All of this stuff right here pops up. The one that's checked, because see, all of them are there, but you can toggle them, turn them on or off. If you click them all on and then click off of it, you got all of them on. But typically you just want one of them on, okay? And here's one thing I want to show you guys. When you have things like this and you see how I'm hovering over this, but I really want to select the interior elevation itself instead of the marker, okay? You can hover over it and hit the tab button and it will toggle through everything that you're near. Because sometimes you want to click something and it's covered up by something else and you can't get to it. So just remember to hover over it and hit the tab button and it'll toggle through everything that your mouse pointer is pointing at. Okay, so we want to select the elevation itself. So click here and let's turn this guy off. Say okay. Let's turn this one off. Say okay. Let's turn this one off. Oh, click it again. Okay. So now I click off of it. Now we have the correct elevation pointer pointing in the correct direction. So let's click on it to determine its extents. So it's looking well past the front face of the building and it goes way out here. So let's double click this. See what this looks like. Okay. And we're going to go in and we're going to modify these. All right. So yeah, that's exactly what you should have. So go ahead and close this out, or we want to go ahead and rename this one as well as L side elevation. So click on it, right click, rename L.SIDE ELEV and hit enter. And now everything, it goes in alphabetical order. You have this guy, this right side elevation that we're not using. So you want to right click that and you want to delete that one. Okay. So close this out and go back to your first floor plan. Okay. Now you have all your elevation markers drawn. All right. Now, let's go ahead, and we don't really need them to show on the floor plan just yet. So let's go ahead and select on the crop view, and let's pull this guy back to where it was. Okay. Close here. We don't need the elevation markers to show on our drawing when we put it on the sheet, right? And let's go ahead and drag this guy to right here. And let's drag this guy here. And let's drag this guy right there. Boom. Okay. So there you go. We can bring this in a little bit closer just to make it look. I like things to look a little uniform. Okay. Even though that boundary won't show up on the drawing, I still can see it here. It bothers me for some reason. Things just have to be somewhat straight, even if they don't make sense, or if they're not being utilized, or something that needs to be straight, right? So that's where your model should be thus far. Okay. So what did we cover? We put in some room tags and dimensions. We put in some interior dimensions as well. And we also added section markers. Okay. And we added elevation markers. Now let's go ahead and add in some interior elevations. Okay. Let's put an interior elevation in room number 1. So you go back and you click that elevation marker again that's on the view tab. Then you would come over here and click interior. And now you would drag this interior elevation and just drop it right there. Okay. And let's drag another one here while the command is still active. Okay. And we'll drag one and we'll put it right here in the living room to show those windows. And we'll put one right here in the bathroom. Typically, we'll point it towards the toilet, which appears to be on this wall. But I want to show this window just for illustration purposes to show you guys what these interior elevations are and what they look like. Okay. So now, let's go ahead and click on this one. Same principle as the exterior elevation. You can click on the elevation marker itself and turn all of these guys on and off. But right now, we do have the one that we want on. So click it and let's determine the extents. Okay. So it's showing the inside of the room. And how far out are we going? It looks like it's way out here. So we really just needed to go past the exterior wall, something like that. Okay, so now if we click on this, And let's rename this to room 1. Hit enter. Wait, not room I, room 1. And I'll go ahead and put a space in there, room 1. Okay. And double click here, space, room 2. The other one I didn't have it space like that, right? So yeah, excuse me guys, I'm having a little sinus issue. But room 2 here, okay? And again, guys, I'm here to help you matriculate throughout this course. No, there'll be no floundering. There'll be no failing. All you have to do is do the work, okay? You do the work, and you'll do well in my course, okay? In fact, most students, they're in the 90 to 100 percentile in this course. I have had some students that failed the course, but those were the ones that just didn't do the work and didn't try to take advantage of that which I gave them to actually make up the work. Anyway, conversation for another day. Let's stick to the task at hand. Room number 1, room number 2. So let's go ahead and click on this elevation. And what that is showing us is that wall. So let's go back to the first floor plan. And it's showing us these 2 windows, right? As if you're standing there looking at these 2 windows. So first things first, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get all of them set up just like we did the exterior elevations, okay? Hold on 1 second, guys. I got a call here. I'm trying to, let's see, right. All right, let's go ahead and keep going. All right, we got elevation 1A. We can leave these elevation markers named as are. We don't have to change them, right? Even though if you want to, you could say, you can click here, double click in there, and then you go over here to the room to where the elevations are. And typically, you'll have to open it up. See where it says elevations interior and the building sections that we added? You have to open it up. But you can name it. You can rename them, and I'll let you guys rename them. But this one will be room 1 ELEV. That's short for elevation, okay? And I want you to go ahead and name all of yours, okay? Room 1 elevation, you know, room 2 elevation, and let's go ahead and name them. Now, typically, you can. This must be an upgrade for 2024 because typically you could click in here. Yeah, they changed something. Okay, but no big deal. Double click there and just rename it in the project browser. This is room 2 elevation, right? ELEV. You can abbreviate it. Okay, and see how it's showing the door and the window. Okay, we'll look at these a little bit later, how to make them actually pop out, right? Because there's different things we can do, like change the scale and things of that nature. Okay. And let's go right here, okay? You can take this, guys. You can take it and actually move it, okay? You can take it and actually move it. Mhm. All right, so you can take this guy and move it. Okay, hold on, guys. Let's pause for a second. So yeah, same thing here. And let's move this one because I don't like where it is. Okay. And just double click here, and this is living room. And we can call this one bathroom. Just double click and just say, you can just abbreviate it, rename BATH, bath. Okay. So let's go back to the first floor plan. Now, we typically don't leave these on because they typically, clutter the floor plan. So I want you to click and drag from left to right select that, right click, and then go to hide in view, and you want to select category to hide them all, okay? So they are there, but they don't show up, right? If you want to see them again, you can click the reveal hidden icons button, right? And you can see that they are there, but they're turned off. You can turn them on if you need to turn them on and modify them, right? So good stuff, okay? Now, let's see, what do we want to tackle next? We have everything on the interior. Um, I'm thinking, right now, because we've covered so much, this right now we're at like 45 minutes. That number 45 keeps popping up at me, right? That's significant, but for me and me only. So yeah, I think that's actually pretty good for today. Okay. The only thing I probably would do is let's go to the 3D model. Click the house right here. Okay. And let's go right here to the, let's just say top view. On the view cube right here, you can also, orbit by just clicking and dragging on the view cube. But click top right here. Okay. And let's go to, let's see, site and massing, okay? And let's say we want to create the topography. So what we want to do is want to come here and click here, and we actually have to change the view. I'm sorry, we should be in site. So escape out of that. Oh, sunlight. And come over here to the project browser, okay? And let's see, we may have to open it up. Area plan, gross, schedules, quantities. And click on site plan. Double click site plan. Okay. And what you want to do once you double click site plan, you want to click on the topo solid. And what you want to do is there's ways that you can do this. Okay. First things first, you can just draw a line, or that is the boundary line. So let's go ahead and just click line right here. And let's go ahead and just, it doesn't matter, just click here and click something like that, something like that, something like that, okay? Something like this. And what we're doing is we're actually creating the site, okay? And then you want to hit escape, and then you want to hit the finish edit mode, all right? Now go back to your 3D model, and let's orbit to look at the site to see how it's aligned on our building, okay? Now typically what I would do is I would actually click on this, okay? And we can modify this guy, okay? So go back to the site plan, all right? And I'm trying to think if I actually want to modify this today. Should we do this? We'll come back and we'll do this later, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're actually going to give it some topography. We're going to give the topography some value, right? So, first things first, well, let's go ahead and matriculate and get, a little more progression on our model complete. And then we'll go back and, maybe next week or so, we'll add some topography to it because that's kind of extensive. I don't want to get you guys, I don't want to get you too involved in that right now because that could be very extensive and a little bit much for you guys. But what I want to do is go back to the 3D model. Okay, that's our site. All right, so just leave it like that. We're actually going to round it off to where it's actually sloping up to the house and level off at the footprint of the house and towards the back of the house. But we'll do that later. Next thing, let's go back to site plan and see where it says site component. You want to click that, okay? And would you like to load a family now? You want to click yes. And it'll take you to the Rivet families. I have my family set up, but you'll have the Rivet system families, okay? And there's everything in here, like from from trees to different windows to different fonts to different types of families. Okay, so let's see what we can find here. Let's see, add-ons, casework columns. We may not have any trees in here. Planting. And let's just say you can click the tree, it'll give you an illustration of the tree. So I'll let you guys, pick whatever kind of tree you want. I kind of like the palm trees, one of my favorite trees. So click on that, and it's going to bring it into the model. And you can just place these trees, place them wherever you like. Populate your site, so to speak. Okay, this is a beach house, so it's probably going to have, palm trees everywhere, all the way around it. But for sake of the view itself, let's go ahead and just place some in here however you like. Okay. Now, what you want to do is you want to go to your 3D model. You want to click here, or you can click the house. And now you see we have these trees. But look at them. Something's going on, right? They're kind of small. You kind of want them to be bigger, right? So what you can do is you can go here to edit type, and you can change the height of the tree. Right now they're at 6 feet. Let's go ahead and make them something like 26 feet. And then you want to click apply and then click OK. Now your trees just got significantly larger, and they may be too large now, right? But they're going to show. They're going to show in your elevations. Let's go to the elevations, and we won't get to that today, guys, because it's a bit much. But let's go to the front elevation. So all your trees are going to show in every view that you have now. The side elevation, your trees are going to show. Okay. So for time's sake, let me close this out. Okay. Let's go ahead and set up a camera view. So you want to go to the top of the 3D model. Okay. And see where the 3D default view is. If you click the down arrow next to it, you can select camera. Okay. And I want you to take that camera and click out in the front to the right of your house or to the left and draw, and my computer's glitching. Yeah, there it is. You can draw a camera view just like this. And once you click, it's going to immediately go to that camera view. So that's essentially how your model would look in a 3D perspective view. Okay. Now you can take the viewports and drag them out if you want to show more of the view, if you want more of the trees to show. Okay. Or if you want to crop it a little bit, you can. All right. We won't worry about rendering at this time. And rendering is just making the scene more realistic. We're not going to worry about that. Again, I'm just trying to get you guys to understand the basics. Okay. Now, this view is a 3D view. All right. So what you want to do is go to 3D views, and it's called 3D view 1. You can rename it, and you can say perspective. Because this is the view that you're going to render up. And I like all caps, guys. It just helps me delineate things. You don't have to do this. B-I-E-W. Okay. So now you have your perspective view of your 3D model. Okay. And we're going to divvy this thing up. We're going to put fireplaces. We're going to add some interior furniture. I kind of wanted to do that today, but right now we're encroaching on 50 minutes. So I think that's good enough for you guys. Or actually, let's take the next few minutes. You can do it fairly quick. So this is your perspective view. Again, if you push down the mouse wheel and hold down the shift button, you could change that camera view. You can, kind of orbit around and give it a different perspective if you like. Typically, I like to show something like that. As I like it to actually look as if I'm standing in front of the house myself. I typically don't like to do bird's eye views because you or the client will never see the building from that angle unless they're pulling in a helicopter or something of that nature, right? So I like to keep things as realistic as possible. I like to show clients exactly how their building is going to look as if they are standing there. Now, one way you can modify the camera, if you go to 3D view, and let's see, if you click on this here, now turn that off. Turn that off. Let's go back here, perspective view. You can modify the camera right here. So right now, the target elevation, it's as if someone that's standing 5'6" is holding the camera. So that's a pretty short person. you could change this, right? Change it to someone that's 7 feet, right? Shaquille O'Neal, and you saw the view change to a taller view. So you can modify the camera. You can also change the eye elevation. You can also change the far clip offset. And we talked about that with the exterior elevations as well. So let's go ahead and leave it at that. And let's go ahead and close this view, okay? And close the site plan and close any view except for 3D and the floor plan, okay? Now, we have our interior view set up. Let's go to the, let's see, do we want to add furniture today? You know what? Let's not add furniture today. Yeah. We'll add furniture next week, and we'll contour the site, and we'll populate the site. We'll populate the interior and populate the exterior next week. I think right now this is, you know, pretty simple for you guys to view. So when you finish, you guys should have your floor plan with labels in, interior and exterior elevation markers drawn, okay? Next week, after we populate the site and everything, we'll go ahead and place it on a sheet. We're not going to do that today, okay? So that's pretty much it, guys. Again, this thing went for about an hour long, which is typical for my lectures. So good stuff. You guys are doing great. Keep up the good work. Grades should be current. If not at the beginning of class today, it should be current by the end of class today, okay? So thanks, guys. Keep it up, and we'll see you soon. Dftg 1376 HCC.